the Brookfield Town Energy Committee. And Peter Donnelly sitting there, Rick Knowles sitting there, and Johnny Burke over there are also on the Energy Committee here to support us. We're running a kind of a competition tonight with the budget hearing. So I think a lot of people are over there at the high school now involved in the budget hearing. So in any event, you guys are going to get a real personal demonstration here of what this is all about. So in last fall, actually, Brookfield joined the Clean Energy Communities Program. It's a state program run by CEFIA, which is the Clean Energy Finance Investment Authority, and the Clean Energy Clean Energy Efficiency Fund. I'm not sure exactly how many towns are in that, Bob.
In the communities program?
Yeah.
It's at least 92. We may not have all the pledges in hand, but I think we're getting close to 100 towns.
Oh, great. So 169 towns, so we're
Getting there.
Is that 20 by 20? Is that what you're talking?
it's 20.
It's the successor to the program, I think the Clean Energy Communities program.
It's for municipal buildings, the 20% renewable energy purchased by 2018, and 20% renewable energy and 20% energy efficiency reduction by 2018. So this is a big would be big progress toward actually saving energy, and that's that much less energy used, and so it's a really big step that the state is taking, and that we in Brookfield here are also taking to promote the general cause of energy efficiency and clean energy usage. So this solar program, Solarize Connecticut, and now it's locally Solarize Brookfield, is also run by CEFIA, and it's a state program. We applied in Brookfield, we applied for it, and they came to us and asked us if we would, and eventually we were selected. And hopefully we'll do well in selling a lot of people on getting clean energy, namely through solar rooftop panels on their roof. So the people that are Ross Solar, who are here to be the ultimate people who will tell you whether you are able to have solar panels on your roof. But we have Bob Wall, who is with the CEFIA, the associate director, whatever, of outreach, and Aaron O'Sullivan with Smart Power. And they're the people, along with Ross, I'll let them introduce you from Ross Solar, who are going to tell you about the solar panels, how you can find out about it. You know, there's no commitment on at this meeting at all. So I'll turn the meeting over to them. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Marcia, and thank all of you for taking time to join us tonight. They say timing is everything, and the good news about timing is there has never been a better time to go solar. we're going to tell you a little bit about the Solarize program and then turn it over to Ross Solar Group, who's going to explain how it works and what their particular offer is. But we came up with a motto for the program, and in 3 words tried to describe what is special about it, and they are solar, simple, together. A lot of people don't believe that solar works well in Connecticut. We're pretty far north, and it is true that we don't get as much sun as places like Arizona or Southern California. But when you factor in our relatively high electricity rates, the economics of solar in Connecticut are quite spectacular. I don't know how many people here know that Germany is the world's leading adopter of solar, but we get far more sunlight here in Connecticut than they do in Germany. So I want you to understand right from the outset that solar is a proven technology that works extremely well here, and because of the electricity rates, the economics are quite favorable for you, the consumers. And we tried to make it simple. A lot of customers can get bewildered because there are so many different installers out there, so many different types of equipment and prices, and it gets very confusing. You don't know where to begin. So the Solarize package provides, through a competitive solicitation, Ross Solar Group was chosen. They're one of the most experienced installers in the state, and they offer a fantastic package to you at discounted prices. So it takes a lot of the complexity out of this decision. And the together part is really where you come in. We've been working the past month or more with the Energy Commission and to help spread the word. And the idea is to create a word-of-mouth campaign through all of our respective networks to let your fellow townspeople, your friends and neighbors and coworkers know about this very special deal. And the reason for that is the more people who sign up for solar through Solarize, the cheaper it gets for everybody. So this program, Solarize, was developed in Oregon and replicated in Massachusetts. We brought it here to Connecticut in the fall of 2012. And counting the towns in this current round, we will have done approximately a quarter of the towns in the state. And so far, every town we've worked with has succeeded in at least doubling the number of systems over a 20-week period or less as compared to the previous decade. So solar is selling like hotcakes, and we want that to happen again here in Brookfield. What should provide comfort to you, this is a state-sponsored program. We are a quasi-public agency. We used to be known as the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund, currently known as the Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority. And the next time you see me, we might be known as Connecticut Green Bank. But it's all one entity. But it's not only sponsored by the state, but also endorsed by the town and the Energy Commission. So you know there's some credibility behind it. Over the next 20 weeks, starting tonight, we're going to conduct a very concentrated campaign. We'll have workshops, open houses, appear at local fairs and events, and use all the channels to get the word out about this, so that hopefully by the end of the 20 weeks, we'll have a lot more solar here in Brookfield. And Marcia mentioned that the town has joined the Clean Energy Communities program. For every system that gets installed here, the town will get 3 points. And if they use any of CEFIA's financing products, which we'll talk about tonight, you get an additional point. And then for every 100 points, the town earns a free clean energy system, which can either be solar PV or some other technology. So that's kind of a bonus for the town. And the reason we're able to offer, they're able to offer such fantastic pricing is because through this word-of-mouth campaign and the education over the next 20 weeks, we're hoping to deliver a lot of customers to them, and they would otherwise have to spend money to do traditional marketing. Because of that, they can shave money off their price offer and give you discounts of 20% or more off the current state averages for solar PV. So that's why there's never been a better time to go solar. I told you a little bit about who we are in terms of a quasi-public agency. We help to develop and administer the overall program. We do provide incentives, whether you want to purchase your system or lease it. There's a lot of different options. There used to be a lot of reasons people could think of to not go solar, but now with the prices coming down, with the incentives that will never be higher because we're required by law to reduce them over a series of steps. So if you wait another year, there's going to be less incentive money out there, and pretty soon the federal tax credit might also be sunsetting. So this is really an opportune time to go solar. We also have developed some financing products that I mentioned. We have 2 different loans, the Connecticut Solar Loan, which is represented here by Ron French, who came all the way over from the Brookfield side of Newtown, and he's with our partner Sungage Financial.
4.5 miles. Thank you.
Sweet little commute there, but if you have any questions about the Connecticut Solar Loan, there's some great material here, and feel free to talk to Ron afterwards or the installer, which is really one of the best partners, I think, for the Connecticut Solar Loan in the state. We also have another loan called the Smarty Loan, which is nice because it allows you to bundle different measures. It's not just for solar. It allows you to do energy efficiency upgrades. If you wanted to put in a charger for an electric vehicle, You can use it for that. And you can even use 20% of the loan for things like shoring up the roof rafters or doing some tree trimming if you need to clear out some branches that are shading your building. We work together with all the parties, including Smart Power, who we hire to do the marketing and outreach, and the town to provide smooth sailing over the next 20 weeks. And normally we provide inspections for all systems, but because Ross is such an experienced and high-quality installer, you're on the self-inspect list, so we don't have to check every one, but they will go through that, as well as your town building department and CLMP representatives. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Erin, and she'll tell you a little more about the program.
So my name's Erin O'Sullivan. I'm with Smart Power. It's a marketing nonprofit group that focuses on clean energy and energy efficiency. We have a series of tasks and roles up here, but my main job is to make the job of our solar ambassadors as easy as possible. So they're really the nuts and bolts of the campaign. They're the people who go and actually talk to their neighbors and reach out to their community and really make this program work. We found that one of the #1 indicators of whether or not someone is going to go solar is if they know someone who already has. So I would encourage anyone who knows someone who's gone solar. If they want to share their story, we'd be eager to share it. That goes for you out in TV land as well. We're always trying to really share those stories with our audience here. One of our biggest tools that we use to advance the program is our website, www.solarizect.com/Brookfield. Here you'll be able to see our upcoming events, testimonials from people who have already gone solar, as well as sign up for your own solar home survey. It's free. Ross will come over to your house. They'll check your roof, they'll check your circuit breaker. They'll go into all of that later. But there's no obligation, and really only a couple clicks, and you'll be on your way. As I said earlier, it's really the solar ambassadors that make this program tick. And if I could just take a moment to acknowledge some of the Energy Commission, Marcy already stood up, but could the other members kind of give a wave to identify themselves? Yeah, thank you guys very much. And you'll probably be seeing more of them. I know they've been standing outside the Peach Wave and handing out flyers and being really active, so hopefully you'll see much more of that. If any of you guys would like to join them, please let us know. You can reach me or Marcy. You can find our information also on the website. We hope to see you soon. And I did want to, just to accentuate those solar stories, these are some of the people who have gone solar in Brookfield. And if you want to reach out to either of them, we can connect you and you can ask them your questions about what it was like to go solar, what their hesitancies were, and why they actually arrived at their decision. Ross Solar Group, who you're going to get to know very well over the next 20 weeks, wasn't just selected randomly for your town. There was a very competitive bidding process that went into this. A lot of installers were bidding on your town's business, and Ross was the one who rose to the top based on their pricing, experience, and equipment. So I think you've got a real winner here, and I'm looking forward to working more with Ross as we go forward together.
Not to mention they were created here.
Also, they were created here. I'm sure they'll get into that too. There is a very firm deadline from the campaign. It is 20 weeks from tonight. We found that there are a lot of people who wait until the very last minute. I'm sure any of the students out there can relate. Papers are always turned in about 2 seconds before the deadline, and the day before your taxes are due, no one can get into the post office. It's just a little piece of human nature. So you guys are kind of forward-thinking and that you're here early, that you're jumping ahead of things. I would encourage you, if you're thinking about it, to ask for a solar home survey now. We always, at the end of the campaign, see this huge spike, hundreds of people signing up at the very last minute or trying to go solar or sign their proposals, and you don't get that very personalized touch when you're one of 300 like you do when you're one of 30. So now is the time. You can reach us here, both Bob and myself, at any time, but I would like to introduce now Ross Solar, who can really get into a little more depth.
Thanks. So my name is Stefan Hartman. I'm with Ross Solar Group. Thank you very much for having us. We were started here in actually in Danbury. We started in a house. We used the garage as a place to store panels and stuff. My desk was in what would have normally been the living room. I had a great view of the street and all the kids playing in the yard and stuff. And 2 bedrooms were used as the offices for the 2 Ross brothers. So we outgrew that pretty quickly. That was in 2007. and moved over to Brookfield. And that's where we really grew our company. We were over on Grays Bridge Road for a long time. I don't know, maybe some of you have driven past it, the little industrial park behind Panera Bread and shop right there. And that's where we were until last year when we bought a building just over in Danbury. So we still stayed really close. And here's a little bit more about Ross Solar. Uh-oh. You can read some of it, I guess. But we've grown to the point where on the residential side, we've installed roughly 1,400 installations. We were number one in the last Solarize Round Classic, which is what you guys are participating in, the 20-week round. Also the Solarize Express up in Stafford Springs. Between those two programs running simultaneously, about 120 houses went solar. And even as of just last Friday, people are still signing up. Even though they missed the deadline and some of the incentives changed, it's still a good deal. I don't know what the final tally is out there. Maybe someone from Ross knows, but a very successful program. The numbers really make a lot of sense, and I'm going to show you guys today what we'll be looking for. Too bad this slide's not really working out. It's got a lot of our bragging rights on it. Some of the things that you'll want to know about us in addition is that we don't just do houses. We've done a lot of commercial municipal work. We take that high-level corporate experience from companies like Pfizer, Bed Bath & Beyond, and Walmart, and it's all expertise and experience that we apply to our bread and butter residential business. So every house really gets a lot of knowledgeable technicians working on it. So I'll start with a question. Got a few random items up here. A 9-volt battery, cassette tape, an electronic calculator, and that's a lint roller in the middle there. Anybody have any idea what they have in common? I'll take a guess if anybody wants one.
Electricity.
Electricity? Well, a lint roller, you know.
Friction, yeah.
Yeah, well, true. That's static electricity, right?
Static.
They're all younger than the modern solar panel.
Oh,
A lot of people come to me and they think that solar is a new technology and they're wondering, is it really going to work? You're talking about 20, 30, 40 years. Where are you guys getting these numbers from? Fact of the matter is if you rely on your lint roll and your 9-volt battery to do its job, you can put even more faith in a solar panel. It's been very proven over time in the harshest environments, not just terrestrially, but in space. So applying it to the house is something that's relatively new. 10 or 15 years, it's really started to take off, even though there are those who've had it for a couple of decades on their home. A little bit more specifically, there are a lot of different types of solar panels out there. So I want to really quick just qualify what this technology is. There's solar hot water, there's solar, passive solar houses you may have heard about. This is solar electricity. So these panels silently and motionlessly create electricity from light, not heat, and that's used to offset your electric bill in your house. So the main components of the array, starting with number 1 up there, and it's a little dark, but the solar panels, that's what goes on the roof and everybody sees as you're driving around. That's the most significant and most expensive part of the array. That power comes out in the form of DC, direct current. Your house, however, runs on AC, alternating current. So we have another component, number 2, the inverter. That takes that power and makes it compatible with all the loads in your house. What we do is we tie that into your breaker panel, and if you're at home and it's a sunny day, you're actually running your house on that solar power. But then step 3, the utility meter. Let's say you turn off all of your electrical loads in the house, you kill the air conditioner, and you decide to go to the beach on that same sunny day. That power doesn't get stored in batteries, it doesn't get lost, it goes back to the utility, and they give you full credit for that electricity to use later. Now, they don't buy it from you. What's happening is they're basically saying, okay, so this house gave us 30 kilowatt hours today. We owe them that back before we try to sell them any electricity. And regardless of the going rate, when you deliver them that power, they owe you the energy back regardless if there's been a price change. And then finally, number 4, you also have a means to keeping track of the performance of your solar array. I said there's no moving parts. It's not a very exciting thing to watch. So you need a way to keep tabs on your investment and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. A lot of these pictures probably look familiar to what you've seen over here. Solar is not as ugly as a lot of people like to think it is. Yeah, there's some pretty hideous systems out there. Like any form of contracting, some people are going to be better at their jobs than others. So when a contractor installs a solar array that's jigsaw puzzled up there, silver framed, and it's all asymmetrical, it's not a very well thought out system. We want to protect people's curb appeal of their homes, and we also want to protect our industry. We don't want people driving by a system saying, I'll never do that on my house. That's not a way to protect the industry and make sure that it's around for a long time. So why should you care? Why would somebody invest or sign up for a leased solar array? And there are 4 main reasons here. I'll breeze through quickly. One is you could hedge yourself against the never-ending escalating cost of electricity. We just saw a 21% rate increase in January. Everybody should have gotten a split bill. Because we base so much of our electrical needs on gas, natural gas, when that price goes up, it filters through and electric prices go up as well. So when you install a solar array and you create your own electricity on site, you are now immune to those future rate increases, at least for the portion of your house that has gone solar, which could be 100%, might be 50%. We can get into that later. Those returns are an avoided cost. It's not an income, so you don't have to pay any taxes on that. It's simply money that you had that you didn't have to spend. So it's a consistent return on that investment for decades, and it's yours. Next, it does increase the value of your house. Remember that if you're creating a commodity that has value and lowering the operating costs of that house, it becomes more affordable and it becomes more attractive on a volatile market. So when you can tell somebody that the electric bill, the solar array rather, is going to create this much savings on your electric bill, it's very easy to figure out a value to that, especially when you prorate it out over time. Curb appeal, though, I do want to mention that that's a subjective thing. So if it's an ugly array and it's not a quality system, just like painting your house some hideous color, it's only going to hurt values of your house. And then finally, the environmental benefits are huge. In fact, usually they're pretty overshadowed. It's a carbon neutral resource. It only takes a solar panel roughly 18 months to 2 years to replace its own carbon footprint from being manufactured, and then it lives its life for the next 40 years only helping the environment. Another thing that goes really unappreciated is that if you create electricity at a house, out where it's needed, and you consume it there, you've offloaded not just the demand of your house on the grid, but also the grid strain of having to deliver you that power. So just like if you drive a more fuel-efficient car, or if you go to an electric car, somewhere a tanker truck didn't have to drive out on the road and deliver it to a gas station. Same thing here. It's called distributed generation. You're generating it right where it's needed, and it's 3 times more efficient than having it piped in from a power plant 75 miles away. And there are studies about the resale value of the home. These slides are going to be available online, and here are some resources for people who might want to follow up and learn a little bit more about that. Before I dive into the electric bill, any questions on the solar array itself? Any questions on that 4-step slide I went through? You with me so far? All right, good. So when you install a solar array, it's going to offset your electric bill. These don't have batteries. You're not storing it on site. You're not living off of the grid. You're still connected to the grid. But there are parts of the bill that are going to be affected, and you'll see a definitive change, and I'll show you in the next few slides. The first thing you'll notice is, you probably can't see it, it's kind of far away, but the supply rate. Everybody thinks that this rate of roughly 9 cents or 8 cents is what they're paying for electricity. Reality is it's only half the story. If you flip the bill over, we have 2 other things here I want you to take a look at. First is the graph. There's your usage over the course of a year. And there's a bunch more charges. Let's get a closer look at those. So this kilowatt hour number right here is what you'll be reducing when you install a solar array. So what would have been 480 could now be as low as 0. And anything that's multiplied by that 480 would then become 0. Now there's one charge on the bill that does not have a multiplier. It's a fixed $16 a month charge. Even if you create all of your own electricity and then some, you're still going to have that $16 a month bill. So this is what your bill looks like before going solar, and here's after. Remember that usage chart that shows the 12-month? You can see this person installed their system. That's February is when that system went in, and immediately the electric bill went to almost 0. Then as March, April, May, June, July came around, it went completely to 0. All of those multipliers are completely gone. The utility doesn't want to waste ink, I guess, and multiply everything by 0, so they just leave it out. but I know it's small, but there is a $16 charge here. So this customer had a $16 bill, but he's got 1,300 kilowatt hours in the bank already in just about 5 months of operation. And the idea is now that bank is there to be used through the fall, through the winter, when the sun stops being quite as beneficial to the solar array. So you could generate all of your needed power between April and September from your solar array. It could be covered in snow. From November, it doesn't happen, but let's just say if it did. If it got covered in snow and it stayed that way, you could theoretically still have enough of electricity in the bank with the utility to have a zero electric bill. Now, in terms of an investment, this is the traditional way of looking at solar. You make an investment, you buy this equipment, and you enjoy your electrical savings for years, and that's how you recoup that investment. And you might compare it to some other things out there on the market. Say if you just have it sitting in a savings account earning 1 or 2%, that's roughly $144 on an $11,000 investment. It's not that much. Similarly, there are bank CDs or bonds, and you can play the stock market, and maybe on a good week get 7% return on that money. When you put it in solar, you're basically banking on the sun rising every day. It's a very reliable return on investment, and it's very calculable. In Connecticut, if you put $11,000 roughly into a system, you're going to get about $1,400 back in the first year alone. Then every year, as the cost of electricity goes up, that $1,400 becomes greater and greater because the commodity is more valuable. It equates to about a 10 to a 14% return on your investment. Is this slide helpful? I'm never really sure if...
Yeah, now you're starting to talk my language.
Yeah, okay, good. So the Solarize program is really unique. I want to kind of reiterate some points that Bob made beforehand about how we can discount the systems in a Solarize program. It's not just the outreach and the volunteers, which is by far the #1 thing, but it's also the deploying of the arrays. When we can work locally in our own backyard and sign up a bunch of work at once, we can streamline the permitting process. The crews can go out to a house, and if they're finished at 2 o'clock, instead of coming back to the house and going to the next person on the list who's down in, I don't know, Greenwich or something, they can come back to the office, reload the truck, and go right back out again and start work on the next job. Or maybe just go across the street if they knew it was coming. There's so much project management efficiencies to be had that we can lower our price substantially. The cost of solar panels has really come down a lot over the last couple of years to the tune of about 40%, where now suddenly it's on us, the installer, to find ways to save because the solar panel manufacturers have done everything they could. They're still coming down, but the soft costs, my effort, our time, all of our time starts to become an expensive part of it. So we want to figure out ways to make our jobs more efficient. Now, as more people sign up, the cost is going to go down. And if you're the first person to sign up, you still see the discounts that come subsequently when more people sign on and we get those wholesaling discounts. And here's kind of how that's illustrated. In solar, we do everything by $1 per watt. So that's akin to if you're getting carpet priced out for your house and it's $1 per square foot, we're going to price it out by the watt. And that includes everything from the installation to the permitting, the engineering review, the panels, all the warranties inclusive of it, and all the paperwork and things for the utility and the rebate office. Everything is included in that $1 per watt. And it makes it a really easy way for customers to compare one option versus another because you can see on a singular level how that is. So as more people sign up, that 1 to 25 kW, what that means is kilowatts, that's wattage. So as more houses sign up, we're getting a larger and larger account accrued, and we can wholesale all of our purchases, wholesale all of our efforts, and the price trickles down. So as I said before, if you signed up in Tier 2, and your neighbors kicked in and they got you all the way to Tier 4 or Tier 5 by the end of the program, everybody sees this price. This is a base price. There are some provisions in there if somebody's got a very unique situation, or it's 3 stories, or it's on a garage and we've got to dig a trench. There are some adjustments to it, but for the most part, this is going to be the basic pricing that you would all see. Now, there are several ways that you can go solar, and the first that we talked about is the simple purchase, and this is what most people are familiar with, and most people come to me and they always say the same thing. It's too expensive. I looked into it a long time ago, and I just can't afford it. It doesn't make sense, or it makes a lot of sense, but you have to have $30,000 to make it work. It's just not the case anymore. The closest to that older style, and there are a lot of people out there who have the cash and they want to just invest it. So we have a program what we call Same as Cash. This is a way to help monetize all the benefits and incentives, so that way you don't have to shell out as much as you would traditionally have to, and I'll get into that in a minute. But this reduces your exposure as much as possible. Next is the Connecticut Solar Loan, and there are also other loan products available, like the Smarty loan that Bob was mentioning before. But this is a way where you can now leverage all the electrical savings that you're going to get. Instead of making an electric bill, you have a system installed, put it on a loan, and now you're making loan payments instead. Just like when you decided to buy your house instead of renting. You're paying the money every month anyway, you might as well leverage it into something that you can at least own one day. And then finally, the Connecticut Solar Lease. The Connecticut Solar Lease is a way where you can spend absolutely nothing on the system. You get it installed, you take no responsibility for it, and all the power that you create is yours. You just have one fixed monthly payment on the equipment, and you enjoy the savings for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, they take the array down, or they sell it to you at fair market value, or they maybe extend the lease. So this is really this is commonly referred to as the no-brainer. If you can get a solar array, go green, and save money all at the same time without spending any money, it's a really attractive way to go. So before I get into the scenarios, the first thing that I want to just kind of point out is that not every house is good for solar. And that's what Ross Solar Group is going to help you figure out. We're going to come to your house if you invite us out and let you know all the factors at play and how the numbers would play out in your specific situation. In solarized towns, a lot of people are always looking at each other's quotes, and they're always different. That's because every house is different. Everybody's electrical needs is different. So we size it, customize it to everybody's unique needs. But there are some things that need to be consistent across the board. And number one is we want to know that you've got a roughly southern-facing roof. East and west is okay too, but the best is going to be southern-facing. How much shade do you have? And finally, the angle of the pitch of your roof as well. So all those things are going to factor into what you ultimately end up seeing in terms of a return. So the numbers. So if you buy a system, first off, you're going to notice something. There are two prices here. The top one, the 31,360, that's how much your average solar array, 7,000 watts, would cost on the average, outside of a Solarize program. That's what the average system cost in Connecticut is. In Solarize, that price is about, $5,500 less. What's the percentage there, Aaron? Like 20 or 30% less there? Mm-hmm. So it's a significant discount just starting off with the gross cost of the solar array. You're going to get, in this case, a $25,800 system is going to get roughly $7,200 right off the top from the Clean Energy Fund, or the Clean Energy Finance and Investment Authority. I'm going to call that CEFIA. The remaining amount is eligible for a 30% federal tax credit, in this case about $5,500, meaning that $25,800 system is now only going to be about $13,000 bottom line. And this would also be your out-of-pocket, because Ross Solar Group waits for the rebate, and we could also give you a little bridge loan for 12 months on the value of the tax credit. Meaning that a customer would only have to come up with $13,000. That system, not the best house in the world, maybe it's facing southwest or southeast, it's got a little bit of trees in the morning or the afternoon or the evening. This is going to be your typical production for a system like this, $1,360 annually, which equals a little over a 10% return on your investment. Can we all agree that that's a pretty good return on investment? All right, good. Another graphic to kind of illustrate that model. You can see, so zeros here in the middle, you make an investment, you're in the hole, you kind of wait over time, and at some point you get your money back. And this is, I know this looks pretty wild, right? You've got this small area where you've made an investment, and then all of this is yours. This is a very realistic return on your asset, because if you make this system, you install it, it pays for itself in, say, 7 to 9 years. But it's got a lifespan of 40 years, and the commodity it's creating only goes up in value. It's quite realistic to say that over 30 years, by the way, the warranty on these panels is 25. So you're going to get more years out of it. By 30 years, you can see that your returns have done nothing but escalate year after year. So there's a way where you can leverage all of this wealth that you're going to accrue from that solar array. You can take that and borrow against it. Instead of making an investment on day one, maybe you've got other things that you need to do around the house. So you can do, in this case, the Connecticut Solar Loan. That same system, $25,830, could be installed for about $1,000. In the beginning, your payments are going to start a little bit high, $154, because you're waiting for that tax credit to come in. The Connecticut Solar Loan allows you to prepay the loan as much as you want for 18 months. This would be the minimum payment, but you get the tax credit, you apply it directly to principal, and the payment drops to about $102 in this case. But it's creating $113 a month worth of electricity. So for $1,000 out of pocket and roughly $50 a month until you get that tax credit, that's all the money that you're putting into the system. And graphically, it looks like this. So the other one where you kind of went into the hole and then you kind of waited to get it all back. All these green bars is money that the solar array is earning for you. This dashed line represents your payments. That little spot over there in the corner, that's your investment. The solar array is going to pay you all of this. 15 years down the road, if you just make minimum payments, it'll eventually, you'll own it. No buyouts, no renegotiations, it's just simply yours. And these green bars continue to go until about here. That's year 30. And that's all yours. And you only spent that little blank spot over there. Finally, the lease. This is the easiest to wrap your head around. Because it's that same system, $25,830. You pay nothing for it, though. Your payment is going to be fixed, in this case, $90 a month. It's bringing in $113 a month worth of electricity. So you're making about $23 a month, and you spent nothing on this system. So by the end of the year, you've made about $250 to $300 worth of savings, and you spent nothing on the array and you've gone green. This is commonly referred to as the no-brainer, because you can just save some money. So any questions about either of those options? I know it's a lot of numbers really fast. Did anybody have any questions on that? Cool. So if you guys are interested in finding out how all three or any of those three scenarios could apply to your house, this is what you could expect by participating in the Solarize program. Number one is you can sign up for a site visit. Let us know that you're interested in having one of us out. We're a local company. We're not going to sell you off to any advertiser mailing list or anything like that. We just need a way to get in touch with you and set up that appointment where we'll come out, review the house, review your electric bill, and let you know what your options could be. If you decided you wanted to move forward, about 90 to 120 days down the road after the permits are pulled, the rebates are locked in, we will come and install the system. All of our crews are in-house and insured and certified to do this work. We do it yourself. And we also, to make sure that all the inspections are walked through, we are on self-inspect, but we invite CEFIA to come out to any of our jobs and spot check us, and they do. But it's not just CEFIA keeping an eye on it. The building department's going to want to take a look. The utility will take a look. And then, in CEFIA if they choose to. But remember, you do have until September 30th. That's the deadline. And the reason for that is at some point we got to start moving on those efficiencies. We have to say, all right, this is it, we're done. This is our scope of work. And now we're going to try to deploy all these projects as efficiently as possible. That's kind of the deal. We're going to give everybody a really good price, but it's got to be one group project that we can kind of manage together. So that deadline in this case is September 30th. And something you should also know is that the rebate does periodically go down. In Solarize rounds in the past, and I don't want to put words into Bob's mouth, but generally they protected the rebate level until this date. And then usually shortly after that, they drop to the next tier. So even if you move forward afterward, we might not be able to get you any more rebate money. So this, for a lot of reasons, is a very important date that everybody should keep in mind. The solarizect.com Brookfield, that's a really important site. We recommend everybody go. We will make these slides available on it if you guys want to get a copy of it, or just send me an email and I'll get you a copy of those slides. And we do have a representative at Ross Solar Group who, if you decide to call, it's Travis. Is Travis, he went to the school?
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of our reps. What basically would happen if you call the office, Travis is just going to have a quick conversation with you, let you know who's going to get in touch with you, maybe remind you to get your electric bill together, and answer any just quick questions that you might have. And then if you decide to have a site visit, he'll tell one of us to get in touch with you. That's it. Well, thank you very much. We will take some questions, and we've got a lot of guys over here, a lot of brain power. Yeah, Bob.
Speaking of the other guys, the louder power, would you be so kind to introduce yourself?
Yeah, you got it. So we've got David Hayes, Walter Erickson, back in the back there, Peter Dion, moving forward, Dave Paradis, Mackenzie, I don't know your last name? Patterson. So, and then there's more. You know, we've got a spirited, smart team who's going to be really, you can see they're all here. They want to get this program, make it a success. We're really excited to have it be in our backyard. The last round was all the way out in Stafford Springs and Ashford. Great towns, they were a huge success. If we did that kind of, we had that kind of success on the other side of the state, you know, we're ready to really get a lot of solar deployed here in Brookfield. So any questions for any of us? And I know there's a lot of info. Yes, Aaron?
What if you decide to sell your home?
Sure. So depending on how you have financed it, right? So if you own it, it's simply an asset that goes with the house, right? You have now done an upgrade to your house, controlled the energy costs. Your value has gone up, so you're simply going to be able to command a higher price. It's been proven that a house with solar and other energy efficiency measures done to it sells faster and for more money. There are metrics out there that say for every dollar worth of operational costs that you've saved, you've added $20 of value to the house. Now that may or may not be 100% true here in Connecticut, but even if they're half right, it's a tremendous value increase to your house. Now if you have a lease or a loan open on that system and you go to sell your house, you can actually transfer the payments over to the new homeowner. So the lease is pretty easy. I think CEFIA and the leasing company have done roughly 20 transfers, and I think they've all gone off without a hitch. And again, if you can show somebody 5 years down the road that you cost protected and were cash positive 5 years ago, electric rates are even more expensive, your lease payment's the same, people can't wait to take over that lease because they're really happy that you made that decision for them. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I walked in a little late. I might have covered this already. 2 questions. One about maintenance and upkeep, and how much that might cost annually, and how that relates to those graphs you showed of profits or return on investment.
Sure.
And also how something like this would work in the winter. What this does for electric bills in the winter. I'm guessing a September close date would get a lot of these installed and up running for next winter, and what that might look like.
Yeah, that's one of those reasons why you want to sign up sooner than later, because when the winter comes around, the solar is not a rock star during the winter. The fact of the matter is our electric prices are so high, you can generate enough potentially for 100% of your annual needs in the summer months alone. And I don't know if you were here for my conversation about net metering and how that works, but the extra power that you generate in June or July can then be used in December or January when your solar array is not doing as much as it could. So I have solar on my house, for example. I'm expecting to see no electric bill this month until about December. It takes about till December for me to use up all of my credits, and then I have a small electric bill for December, January, February, and in March I get a small bill. But the bottom line savings, you know, going to that other, that slide that showed the $1,350 a year savings, that you're going to see that no matter what, whether it's 100% of your needs or 75% of your needs. In terms of maintenance, there's really none until roughly year 18. The inverter, component number 2 here, that's a hardworking machine. It's managing a lot of power every day. You don't have to do anything to it. It works autonomously by itself in your garage or basement or even outside the house. That might need to be replaced somewhere around 15 to 18. And in the cash flows that we show you, we actually show you some maintenance costs down the road where if you own this system, maybe you got to throw a little bit of extra money back at it. So that could be a long-term maintenance cost. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Cool, you got it. And if anybody, somebody wanted to come up and take a couple questions?
You're doing great stuff.
All right, cool.
Similar to his question with the maintenance, what about, all the snow we got a few years ago and the roofs and everybody had to take the snow off? What does a significant amount of snow do to them? Is it going to break them or?
Yeah, well the panels can handle it for sure. So you can, I've been on roofs before, servicing solar arrays, where we have to go and tighten up a couple of bolts once, and we're up there literally on the panels on our knees, putting our own, I'm 175 pounds, so these panels are very robust, and we do have some demo panels if you want to come over here and see and touch and feel how stout they are. Solar panels were designed for much harsher climates than what we see here in Connecticut. They were deployed to bring power where the grid couldn't go. So the Navy was using them on islands with, gale force winds. NASA uses them in all kinds of crazy research locations. But to simply answer your question about the snow, because it's glass, there's nothing, like your roof has that aggregate, that asphalt shingle, right? That's going to hold the snow and it's going to stay up there a lot longer. These glass panels are extremely smooth, and all it takes is one good sunny day and all that snow comes off, or most of it. So you're going to be far less likely to accrue that snow. Additionally, solar panels are traditionally going to be installed on a house that's got a lot of sunlight. So when that sun comes out, you're not blocked by shade and seeing that snow accumulate excessively. And we do engineer every project. So if a lot of snow was to build up, we have a third-party structural engineer who reviews it not just for the weight of the panels, but the weight of the panels plus whatever the code compliance is for snow, as well as wind uplift should there be a hurricane or something. And I'd say about 1 in 4 houses need some kind of light structural upgrade to be done. And as long as your attic is accessible, it might only be about $200, $250 to do some light upgrades in the attic. Yes, sir.
Along with the roof question, what about in the middle of the life of the project? Let's say year 12 to 20, you need to replace the roof. Do you have a program to accommodate that?
Well, that's one of the things we help people figure out before the system gets installed. Because generally, most people are buying their systems and owning them these days. So when you do that, there's no service that's going along with it, where they might take it down and put it back up again. However, the cost is coming down. I'd say it's going to be in the area of $2,500 to take it down and put it back up again. So again, that could be one of those O&M things we throw in a cash flow for you. So if you have an older aging roof and you have this planned maintenance, we can help you evaluate what the cost of ownership is going to be for this system, including that. But generally, if your roof is under 10 years, you're in really good shape. If it's a quality roof, you're going to be in really good shape, and you're going to be able to enjoy 25 years or more with that solar array up there. Between 10 and 15 years, there's a lot of preventative maintenance that you could do. Where roofs fails at the terminations, gutters, chimneys, hip and valleys, things like that, all of those are still going to be accessible after the solar array is installed. However, you can definitely, it'd be a good idea to get a roofer out there before the system's installed and maybe do some preventative maintenance that a trained eye would only be able to find. And of course, we're going to let you guys know. We don't want to install on a roof that looks like it's going to be, have some issues down the road. Because frankly, we're the last ones up on that roof. So who are you guys going to call if you get a leak? Right? We've only had one leak in our history, and it was actually not related to any of the solar equipment. But it was plausible that one of our guys, accidentally put his weight on one of the bathroom vents and maybe broke it, and some water got in. We don't know that for sure, but it was plausible. We were the last ones up there, so we went out and fixed it completely under warranty at no cost to the owner. But we've never had a roof leak because of our racking or panels or anything like that. Yeah.
And again, along with this town-wide project, do you have some design flexibility as to how you implement these systems from the viewpoint of, you appear to show a centralized inverter here. Do you have an option, for instance, to do N-phase as an
Yes, we do. So what he's asking about is, there's a few different, just to get mildly technical for a minute here, and let me know if I lose anybody, but you don't have to have a central inverter, because there are some limitations to what a central inverter can do. They've gotten a lot smarter, and frankly, I think that the central inverter is 9 times out of 10 the better installation method. But there is a way where each panel could have on its, mounted underneath it, a microinverter. So each panel is now responsible for inverting its own energy independently. Because traditionally, if you have a lot of panels strung up and they're all going to one central location, if one is shaded, that can confuse the whole chain and cause inefficiencies. So if there's a situation where we have to modify our design and make the system just a little bit smarter with the microinverters, we'll be sure to bring that up and let you know that this is something you might want to consider. There are downsides to the microinverter as well, and that is that, remember that maintenance I was telling you about, where the one thing that might need to be replaced is the inverter? If you got dozens of them on the roof and something comes up, it's a little bit more difficult to get to it.
Is there a pricing impact on that design?
For the microinverters, yeah, they're generally a little bit more expensive, about 30 cents per watt. So it's an option. And it's usually something that It's usually something that customers either want, because you can now see what each panel individually is doing. So if you're a data geek and you want to, I'm kind of like that. So if you want to see all of the panels and what they're doing, the microinverter is the best way to do it, because they will actually report right to your cell phone what each panel is doing. So talk about a deluge of information. So that functionality is pretty neat. Similarly, if you've got like a flagpole or something in your front yard that you absolutely want to keep, but it's causing shade to sweep across your array, microinverters would help make sure that that flagpole is not a huge detriment to the output of the system.
What about battery backup systems? Do
Yeah.
you guys offer them? And
Yeah, the battery backup is an option for any system, whether you do it at the time of installation or if you wanted to do it later, you can certainly do that. So people who experience a lot of blackout, I'm glad you brought this up. The solar array does not come with batteries standard. So if the grid goes out, you're without power. You're not going to be able to live off your solar array because it's a very inconsistent power source. In order to have backup power, you need to put a battery bank in. What this does is it provides stable, reliable energy to power loads in your house, and then the solar array recharges those batteries. Right? So if you want that extra added convenience, you could elect to have batteries installed, for sure.
are they much more expensive? or-
Yeah.
It is.
You're basically double the cost.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because now there are smaller batteries that you can buy over the counter and you can install in your house and have a few things if you've got like one load that you want to do. Ross Solar Group, we generally are going to take care of kind of larger scale battery banks, things where you can power your furnace, your coffee pot, your refrigerator, your microwave, hair dryer, You can take care of a lot of conveniencies with our battery banks.
But it's twice as much.
Yeah, a battery
Wow.
battery bank would start around 15,000 and go up from there. But if you do it at the same time as the solar array, you can actually get the 30% federal tax credit on that. Yeah, Aaron.
I was just going to say, I think we've got time for about one more question, and then
Sure.
we'll let everyone wander up and talk to Ross Solar.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here to field more questions after the fact, so. Anybody? Come on.
If you sign up, in the first 2 tiers, and I think Ross is offering to start at the second or third tier,
Yeah, actually, thank you for bringing that up.
and, what is it, second or third? Or
Third
what?
tier.
Third
We're
tier?
gonna jump right in. We're so confident we're gonna get to at least a tier 3, probably in just a matter of, 4 or 5 weeks. We might as well just start giving it now. It's less paperwork for us to have to rewrite everybody's contract.
And
Just
people are
start at
gung ho to have this done, and are you waiting to the end of the campaign to start installing, or will you?
We would love it if somebody wants to sign up early, and there might even be some incentives for the early adopters to really get the program going, because everybody wants to wait and see who pulls the trigger first. We see it time after time again. Those early adopters, not only would we probably give them a slight financial incentive, but we can also showcase their house and possibly use it as a demonstration installation, maybe host a barbecue or something. People can come and see it, a live system going up, and while everybody's enjoying their hot dogs, our guys will be slaving away climbing the ladders, but we'd be glad to do that should a
And once the
customer
smoke
want to.
clears and the campaign is over, and you've reached tier 5, they still get the benefits of giving
Correct.
that.
Even if the
pricing of
system is
tier 5.
completely paid for and installed before tier 5 is reached, that person will get a cash check back in the mail. Correct. Or we can, we will make sure that issue is addressed on a case-by-case basis. Yeah.
So that's how it works. The more people that sign up, the higher the tier. The people get a rebate after all is said and done.
Yeah, so the system, the way that it's going to get invoiced is you have a deposit, and then we lock in the rebate, and there's a progress payment, and another progress payment when it's installed, and then after all the inspections, there's a final progress payment. So generally, somewhere through that course of time, the rebates are going to change, and those invoices will be adjusted. So if you're doing a loan, for example, by the time the loan closes, you aren't going to have to borrow as much money because the price of the system went down. Right? Cool. All right, thank you guys so much for coming down. I know we were hoping to get even more people here tonight, but we had the other event going on. We will be doing this again. So if you found this interesting and you think you know somebody who would benefit from something like this, we're going to do another one on June 10th. And where is it going to be here again?
Yeah.
Right here, June 10th, 7 o'clock. So really the success of the program depends on the volunteers and the local community really talking to their neighbors. And up in Stafford Springs, all the time people are calling, hey, I ran into my buddy at the library and he's really interested in an audit. Stefan, I just thought I'd call you directly. Or we were getting phone calls all the time on our cell phones because people just wanted to jump right in. We love that kind of enthusiasm, and It's one of those things, a lot of people always say, oh, I know I had till the 30th of September, and I was going to wait till around that time to do it. And then we had a few people get frustrated because they couldn't get their houses reviewed in time because they waited too late. We try our best. But when 300 people are calling, like Aaron said, it gets really tough. So we really encourage people to sign up early. All right, thank you guys very much.